we are back with some more tenses, but this time just one tense at a time because the perfect tenses can get quite complicated. Um, so if you if you want a refresher, just go watch the video on simple tenses and also on continuous tenses so that you are sure how those work before watching this video. If you have those down, you know how they work, then just then you don't have to watch those videos and you can start with this one. Okay, so I'm going to look at a few different forms that we can do this in. What I have here is a plus for the positive form, just a normal statement, and then I have negative for the negative form, and then I have a question mark for the question form of that sentence. And then I have up here two columns, action verbs and linking verbs, and you'll see what I mean there in a second. So in simple present tense, let's say he runs, right? And in past tense, it would be he ran, and in let's say future, simple future, so that's a simple present, simple past, simple future would be he will run. Okay, the counterpart to that is, of course, he can have he is running. Okay, he will be running, and he was running, right? So there we have our simple present, simple past, simple future, present continuous, present future, future continuous, and past continuous. Okay, so what happens when I want to make one of these into present perfect tense? I would say he has run. Okay, now run is perhaps not a very good example here. Let's use something like drive. In simple present tense, I would say he drives. But in present perfect tense, I would say he has driven. And in simple past, I would say he drove. So I want you to focus on these three verbs. Okay. So what we have here is we have the simple present tense form, we have the simple past tense form, and then we have what is called the past participle. Now, every verb has this. I'm going to show you just on the bottom of the page how they look. Right, so look here at the bottom of the screen where I've highlighted these three columns. Simple present, simple past, and past participle, which I also put in brackets for perfect tenses. So what I'm going to show you now is going to be applicable to present perfect, but it's also going to work for future perfect and for past perfect. So let's do drive. Okay, drive, drove, driven. Okay. Now, how do I know which one to use? Basically, the past participle can usually be used as an adjective. I can say the driven man, right? But I can't say the drive man or the drove man. It doesn't work, right? And not all of them are like this. This is an irregular verb, which means it doesn't follow the rules. But if I look at something like jump, in simple past, it becomes jumped. And if it has that ed, then it means it will look the same in the past participle, which makes it a lot easier. So then you will have he has jumped. Okay, so that one will look the same. Right, that one's easy. Some of them are a little more complicated. For example, run, the one we had at the beginning, we'll go run, simple past is ran, but then for past participle, it goes back to run. Okay, there are a few others that do that. If you look at become, I become a teacher, she became a teacher, she has become a teacher. Okay, so this is the column that you want to look at for perfect tenses. There are quite a few tricky ones, like take becomes took, and then becomes taken, right? So he has taken, right? You can't say he has took. And there's just a list of these. There's not that many, but you have to study them if you don't know them very well, so that you can know that you're doing the perfect tenses correctly. Okay, so just make sure that you pay attention to the past participle. Right, some of them are normal, like this one right here. Okay, but some of them will be strange, straight up. Just they will look very different. And as I said, most of the time, especially these ones like taken and driven, will be able to be used as adjectives. Not all of them, but you can't say the taken piece of art. I guess it doesn't work that well, but some of them can be used as adjectives on their own. All right, so let's get back to the actual sentences. I'm going to remove that. Right, he has taken, but it's not always has. They have taken the money. Okay, let's complete that sentence, shall we? Money. All right. So your auxiliary verb there that goes with that is has. Actually, let's not highlight that. Okay. Auxiliary verb will always be has or have, right? Just like it was or were in other tenses, it'll always be has or have plus your past participle that we just looked at. Okay, with you, it's going to be have. You have killed him. Okay, killed is one of those that will look the same in simple present and simple past and perfect tenses, but of course it will add the auxiliary verb have killed him. Okay, and I know the label is confusing because it says present perfect tense, but you're like, why is the verb then in past tense? Okay, but the has and the have are in present tense, and that's the important part. Right, so what do I mean by linking verbs? Okay, if I say he is handsome, that is simple present tense, is your linking verb. If I want to change that to present perfect tense, it's going to be a little strange. Okay, we'll do the following. You must have the auxiliary verb has, and then your linking verb will change to been. Okay, he has been handsome. Right, it's the same if you change it from past tense. They were teachers will change to they have been teachers, where have is your auxiliary verb and been is that linking verb that changes from were to been. Okay, that's tricky. All right, so it's has or have plus your past participle, or it is has or have plus been if you had a linking verb instead of an action verb. Let's look at the negative. He has not taken the money. Okay, a little smaller, and there's your negative adverb, which changes it to negative. which then it could also be he hasn't taken the money. Right, you can make the contraction there, but it's the same sentence. It still has that perfect present auxiliary verb of has or have, and your action verb stays the same, right? Taken and taken, right? But it can also change to the have there if you say they haven't or they have not killed him. Okay, there's your auxiliary verb. There is your negative adverb, which changes it, and there is your main action verb. Okay, same here, right? If I take these two with our linking verbs, I add not. He has not been handsome. It's a very strange sentence, but it is grammatically correct. Okay, and they have not been teachers, right? And again, has can change to hasn't, and have not can change to haven't as well with the contractions there. Okay, for your question form, it's the same with other things. You move the auxiliary verb to the front, right? Has he taken the money? Have they killed him? There's your two auxiliary verbs that have now moved to the front, and then your action verbs change there to after the subject there. Okay? In this sense, it's the same. Has he been handsome? Very strange sentence, but it does work. Okay? And there is your auxiliary verb, and there is your linking verb, and same here. Have they been teachers? Okay, there you go. Auxiliary verb and your linking verb. So that's basically the simple ins and outs of your present perfect tense. Now, you might be asking, when do we use this? Well, present perfect tense is usually when you talk about the past in relation to the present. So if you would say, I have been to Japan, instead of saying, I didn't go to Japan, it will be in relation to something that's talked about in the present or the future. Okay? So if you say, I've been to Japan before, but I will visit or I will travel there next week. So I have something in the past that is related to the present or the future, and that's when I use my my present perfect tense. Okay, there are a few other uses, but that's basically the gist of it. Okay.